Good evening, everyone. I welcome you again to our series of courses on cloud computing. And in the past week, we have been doing series of videos as it relates to using AWS platform, infrastructural platform, to design various solutions regarding different domains within using what the AWS offers in different ways. And this very evening, we want to consider how we can launch two EC2 Linux instance into different availability zone in the region. We want to see how we can also create new security group and allow EFS to TCP in the in-bundle. At the end of the day, ultimately, we want to see how we can create EFS file system and map security group to EFS month targets. So essentially, this is what we'll be doing tonight, and let's see how far we can go. Very quickly, let's take a look at how AWS define EFS. So we can see that Amazon Elastic File System, which is also what we call EFS, provides a simple, scalable, fully managed elastic NFF file system for use with AWS cloud services and on-premise services. So it is built to scale on demand to petabyte without disrupting applications, growing extremely automatically as you add or remove file, eliminating the need of provision and manage capacity to accommodate growth. But the most important thing of all is the information provided in the fourth paragraph. EFS is designed to provide massive parallel shared access to thousands of Amazon EC2 instances, enabling your application to achieve high scale level of aggregate throughput and IOPS with consistent level of latency. So essentially, like we said, EFS is in AWS, it's called Elastic File System, and these are some of the things we want to do this evening. Let's quickly first start with what to expect from architectural design system, and let's see how that can help. Let's see how we can use Dryo to first come up with a typical expected drawing, architectural drawing for the So let's say this is Linux. Let's say we're launching a Linux instance. One, let's call this EC2 to EFS. And let's say we are doing this at EU East. Let's see, East, I think we have London West. Let's quickly look at, want to use London Zone, AWS, Manual Console. I'm logging in. So let's choose London region. So we have EU West 2. Don't forget we want to launch 2 Linux instances. 2 Linux instances in the same region but 2 different availability zones. So let's say this EU West 2A. Let's say this is our EU West 2A. And again we have let's say we have another instance, Linux to instance 2, and let's call this EC2 to EFS because we're going to EFS, and let's call these EU. Let's use the availability zone West 2B. So this is London region, the same region but 2 different availability zones. So again we have, let's say we have something like this, and let's call this EFS system, and let's call this my EFS. Let's call this demo. And now with this, from this demo, let's say we have yeah, this way. So and let's see another one, and yeah. So let's say this is what we want to do. So essentially we want to launch Linux instance in the London region, availability zone EU West 2A, as well as availability zone EU West 2B, and at the end of the day mount our EFS on these two instances while we are going to save a file and try to access each file for any of these availability zone. Don't forget, EFS is a centralized system. It's a centralized services offered by AWS for multiple instances to be able to save a centralized file system into one central area. Let's see as we proceed. So this is what we want to do, and let's quickly launch into our AWS management console to take these our tags furthermore. So again, don't forget I've changed my region to London, Europe, and so the next step for me is for me to go to EC2 the compute domain, where I'll be able to select my EC2. So the first thing is to go to EC2. You can see my dashboard here. The only thing I have here is one security group, which is default. So let me launch an instance, and let's see how this will be. So I can launch my instance from this place by clicking launch an instance. After launching an instance, don't forget we are looking for free tier only account. We're operating from free tier only account, and so let's launch Amazon Linux EC2 instance. So I will go with the first one because there is free tier eligible, and yeah, T2 macro. Next is to configure instance details. So something is very important here. I need to, because don't forget, from our drawing, we are launching, our first Linux instance is being taken. We'll be launching to EU West 2A availability. So our subnet, we need to be specific, and in this regard, we're picking EU West 2A as our availability zone. We can keep every other thing for the purpose of this course as default. And next is to add storage. Yes, these are also going to be kept as default. And yeah, I will leave the following time to be this. Not encrypted. Then let me add tag. So we're adding tag name. Don't forget we have given this as Linux instance 1. So Linux instance 1, and don't forget where part of our task is to configure the security group, and let's call this Linux instance SG. Sorry, let's call this Linux instance 1 call G as our security group, and this portrait 22. I'll make this anywhere and review and launch. So this is what we have: instance details 1, storage system, tags as a name, we give it this, and prompt, we launch. So when we launch, before we launch, we need to create a key pair, and let's call this key pair Linux instance 1 key P. Let's call it key P, and we have to download this, copy this where it is, and let's place it to where we can easily get it accessible by putting it in the desktop. So launch instance T. So we have this. Our instance is now launching, and we can view instances from here. It's still pending state. Let's refresh. It's still in a pending state, and let's see how this will turn out to be in a matter of time. So the state is now running, but the security status check It's still initializing. We need to give it time, and let's see how this will be. So we need to keep waiting until this status check is initialized. Let's refresh one more time and see how we can. Oh, excellent. So the 2x2 check passed. So the next thing to do, don't forget, we are creating 2 instances in different availability zone but in the same region. Already we have one created for availability zone for EU West 2A. So we can click directly on EU West 2A and say and go to image and template and create more like this. We can also switch to the whole type of EC2. Also, by clicking on this, we can now create launch more like this. So don't worry, don't forget that AWS is trying to offer new EC2 experience, but going by the hot one, we can go from launch more like this and click this. So the essence of this is that we can use most of the same parameters that are already in the that we have already used for the first instance to do the same for the second one. But very quickly, because we need to differentiate this from the first one, we need to go first. Let's go to configure instance, and under from configure instance, don't forget that the first one was created in EU West 2A, and this one, as per our architectural drawing, this is coming to EU West 2B, and I have done that under the subnet, so I can move to the next by keeping the same storage system. And now I can add tag and change this to EC2 instance according to what we have on the architectural drawing. And I can keep the same security group for the 2 of them. And from here, I can review and launch. But let me create a new key pair. I can use the same key pair or create a new one. But for the purpose of this, let me create a new key pair and let's call it Linux instance 2KP, and let's see how this can help us. So let's download the key, and again I'll pick this from this and save it to my desktop. And from here, review launch instances. And yes, let me view instances from here. And from here, we can start seeing what is obtainable here. So again, we need to wait for this to be initialized. This is not in running state yet. It's still initializing, but something we can see very quickly, that the availability zone is EU West 2. So now that this is done, it's good. Let me create a new tab for this, and let me create a new tab so that we can do, don't forget what we're trying to do is that we want to mount Linux instance 1 as well as 2 on EFS. So let's quickly see how we can create EFS file. So let's search for EFS and click on this one. This is Amazon Elastic File System. Like we said, provides simple, scalable elastic file system for general public workloads for use with AWS cloud services and on-premise resources. So there are more information around there that we can reference as we move forward subsequently. But a very good quick stuff. So we click on create file, and the name is optional, and we can create or customize. But let's customize and see different information here. Again, the name is optional. This change the lifecycle management. You automatically, this is to save money when the patterns of moving files from our instances to the EFS changes as infrequently. Look at what happens from last 7 days, it moves to the next. If nothing happens in the last 7 days, it moves to the next one. If nothing happens for 14 days, it moves, and in that circle. And these options are there. And from here, these are default, but we can put something here. We can put name, and we can say EFS. Let's call it demo. And yeah, next. Don't forget we are mounting our targets onto availability zone because we have selected A and we have selected B, so evidently we don't need C, and this we can remove. Now that we have removed this, we need now to mount our instances on the EFS target. So we have removed the EU West 2BC, and don't forget that from our drawing we are done with this. We are now trying to do this. Before we proceed here, we need to create one more security group for our EFS. We have done for Linux instance 1, we have done for Linux instance 2. We also need a security group for our EFS demo. So in this regard, I'll go to security group. I'll go to security group. Security group. Create security. Let me call this my EFS demo. So what do we call this? Let me close this. My EFS demo. We'll call this my EFS demo. So my EFS demo description is also required. My EFS demo example, you can give it any name, but don't forget from our architectural drawing we have called it EFS demo. And here, don't forget we are creating inbound security rule as part of our agenda. We are to create these for our inbound security rule. So create new security group and allow NFS 20490. So this is what we are trying to do. And from here, let's create and prompt our EFS demo is available. So now let's do something. From here, we can attach. This is available now, so we can see So now this is where we are. We now have these. Let's check the EC2 dashboard. We have 2 running instances. So we need to mount these 2 instances on the EFS. But the first thing is for us to launch to connect this. So let's do this. Let's connect. We can use either party, we can use EC2 instance, SSH connection section manager, but I will use party. And in this regard, so let's go for party. So let's go to party gen. So from party gen, let's load the file, the private key. Don't forget we change this to all files. We have one, the first one, and we click open. We click OK. Save private key. OK. And yes, we say Linux. These. And this changed to PPK. So we save these for the first instance. When we save this, so we can now launch the second one, which is again going by loading private key, all files, this, open, okay, save private key, yes, Linux, again Linux, 2, now PPK, again, that's our name, save to desktop. So this is done. Now let's go to PuTTY applications. So this is what we have here, but don't forget that we need for the first one, let's open this. So let's see. So this is our IP address. This is our IP address. So let's copy our IP address. We can copy from here. Yeah, for the first one, we are looking at the first instance, which is under our EU West availability zone. So the host name, don't forget, is EC2 user at the IP address. So let's save this my Linux instance 1 and my Linux instance 1, and we need to save this. And when we save this, we can click on this and let's open. So because we have this problem, it's not in the cache registry. Yes, we can open. Let's go back to PuTTY. PuTTY. Let's open it, and in this case, let's load my Linux instance 1. Let's go to connection. We're here. Let's click on SSH. Where we are, let's click on authentication. So we can now select private key for authentication. We're trying to authenticate our private key. So we have this, and let's open. So when we did do this, what's wrong? So yeah. So where are we? Let's look at what's wrong. So I think we need to save something again. So let's go now. Since we open this, yes, KP. I think I've opened multiple of this window. Let me try and close my putty instance. Let's close it. Yeah. So putty instance. Save. Oh. So yeah, I figure out the problem. Let's again go back to putty. Click on putty. Something significant is happening. We need to again put the host name to be EC2, and that's why we have been having a failure right there at the same public address, IP address. Put it. And let's load by new instance. Let's load. So let's go for this. So let's enter for, we are on the configuration. EC2 user at this. Don't forget this is port for SSH. Let's load this. Now that we have loaded this, let's go to authentication. From authentication, we can now go to select. Yeah, this is where we are. Select browse for private key. This is our home. And we can open this. So it's still not opening. Unfortunately. So I got where the problem is from. Okay, so we'll be able to launch. We'll be able to launch the EC2 instance for the first instance. We're going to do the same for the second one. So here we are on the second one. We have the IP address. Again, we are going to PuTTY-gen. For PuTTY-gen, we load the private key. Don't forget, we have done this already. So we only need to go to PuTTY configuration. So we say this is the host. We copy this. Put this as EC2 user at the IP, and we can name my Linux instance 2. Then we save. Let's try and launch it. Possibly we are going to get an error. Yeah, because it's a not supported authentication available for the server access. So what do we need to do next? We go back to PuTTY this time around again, and we go to authentication, go to halt, put. Let's get the key. We're now launching second one. Right here, we go back to the section, and again we do EC2 user at the IP. Yes, for EC2. We click on EC2 because it's our EC2 instance, and we have to save this again and open. So we have our second. Let me place this by the side. Don't forget, look at the IP address for the first Linux instance, and this is the second one. So we'll be able to launch these two instances successfully, and what we now need to do is to be able to attach an EFS to these two instances. So let's see what happens as we go to the next page. So here we are. Now that our EC2 instances, the two are running, we need to come back here. Our security group should be, let me refresh, should be, don't forget we created a security group for my EFS icon demo. Our EFS, we created a security my EFS demo. So essentially that's what we need to mount here. But we can always edit this later. For the purpose of this, let's move forward, and all this as default, and let's create. So after creating now, but because our security group for the EFS is this is success, so we can now click on this. Let's see whether we can edit the file system. So I click on the EFS system, I go to the network, I will go to the network, it's still creating. Let's see what we have. Still creating, go on. So while that is going on, so I want this to come up so that we can, we need to wait, it's creating, and for us to be able to see how best we can do this. So let's go back, let's see what we have access. It's still this, it's still creating. Let's manage this and see what we have. So we have this. We'll be able to choose our right mounted security group when this is fully created. So the status is still created now, available. Yeah, so now in available state. Let's go to manage. So now we can see that we have my EFS demo here. So, and that's what we need to mount. We click on this. This is already mounted. Click on this. This is already mounted. And right there, we save. Yeah, submitted our target has successfully been saved. So now that we have been able to attach the security group, quickly, if we go to attach, we can see the process of mounting this is available here. And more details information is there. But now let's go to our PuTTY console for the two instances, and we need to quickly do something. I'm putting our command sudo am I writing well? We shouldn't close the connection. Why is the connection closed? Inactive. What happened? What do we have here? So is our internet okay? Yeah, this is working. Our file system. Let's see what is running. What's the problem here? So do we have this? Our PuTTY should not be inactive. So let's troubleshoot why we are having these this inactive. You can see inactive status. So let's go to, this is running fine. Let's see, our instances are running quite fine. And yeah, let me see for the first one. It's normal, because we need to mount. Let me see, run instance has been replaced. So let's check the dashboard. We have running instances is running. Surface is fine. Let's see. Are we okay? Action, field connect, section manager. So we can also connect through most of these. EC2 section. Let's see whether we can connect through here. So this is launch. So sudo, since PuTTY messed us up, I have to come through here, update. So yes, and sudo yum install y Amazon EFS utilities. Oh, sorry, sudo yum install EFS utility. So there we are. Because we are trying to mount the package. So I'm able to connect through EC2 instant because I'm using Windows 10, but again our PuTTY application is inactive, and let's try and troubleshoot why this is so, and we can continue this in the next video. See you then.